Right, I mean, when the cameras ping that there's an Amber Alert or a Silver Alert, there's, Ohio State Police are looking for this car for whatever reason, what databases feed into that?
Okay, okay, I understand now. So currently we have NCIC, which is going to be the national list from the FBI, and then the NMEC, so the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, so any Amber Alerts, but that's just pulling from those lists if there's a specific plate that matches. Anything else that could be shared would just be the police department accepting like a local hot list that's created. So let's say a vehicle is stolen out of Kent County and it was stolen this morning. Our system will integrate with NCIC, but it integrates every 6 hours. So they might send out an alert to all neighboring communities immediately that, hey, here's an alert, and as the police department here gets an alert, they'll see here's an alert, here's the license plate, here's the reason, here's what list it came from. So those are the only ones, the national ones that I mentioned, and then anything else would be from a local agency that would share, and the police department would see whose list it was on and what the reason would be for that.
For our purposes, Chief, if you see a list and you see the reasonings, are we going to have things built in as to what reasons are allowable or not allowable? For instance, say the state of Ohio makes something illegal that's not illegal in the state of Michigan, and somebody drives from Ohio to Michigan to do that thing or activity. Ohio says, we want this data, this is why, because it's illegal here, and we want our citizens not to do it. Would we give them that data?
Well, it would give us probable cause to stop the car and get acquired. Ohio know that, hey, your car's in Lowell, and this is who was driving it. And it's up to the entering agency if they want that person arrested or not. And it's a whole process they're going through that. We have to confirm things, and so.
And that process, just to speak to that if there was, for that situation, an Ohio agency, they would have to reach out and be sharing with the Lowell Police Department to begin with. So there would have to be a reason for them to be sharing where some agencies will share with everyone within the state or within a certain mile radius or whatever, but they would have to be agreed to be sharing for them to even get the alert or for them to even know that that vehicle that's wanted by them that would be alerted in this area.
And I would think even, most entities, if it's a misdemeanor offense, we're not really putting misdemeanor offenses in this. We're looking at felonies. Felonies, civil. We're not looking at DWLSs or WI warrant, bench warrants.
And I always defer to what the ALPR policy will be in there with acceptable uses for the technology versus not. Usually all that gets sorted out in the ALPR policy.
Right.
With the data retention being 30 days, most of these alerts can, I think, 7-10 seconds. What purpose do we have for keeping that data for 30 days?
So 30 days is something that our company came up with. There really was no set standard. I know there actually are some other, we talked about competitors, some other more traditional LPR companies that they keep data for like 2 years. We had worked with a couple of police departments, and I think it was some focus groups that came up with 30 days, which was a short enough time period where we're not keeping data for way too long, but long enough for an investigation if we just get information of something that happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or you need to get some sort of warrant for certain information, that it allows the police department to still go back to be able to gather that evidence, to have a lead, and then 30 days was just a reasonable cutoff for both parties, we assume.
Certain cities have ordinances of how long they can keep the video from their attorneys too. So we need to keep this for 30 days. So that could be why you guys have.
So every agency that I partner with in the state of Michigan uses the 30-day policy. I know that it can be extended, but it would need to be democratically voted on by the community if we were to extend that for any reason. But every agency that we work with uses the 30-day policy.
The data protection for it, no system is foolproof, no system is protected on my things. So should your data be accessed, do we get alerted by that, and what's that look like?
Should
the data that Clock has saved for all of these images be accessed by outside, not good parties? What alerts do we get from that?
Yeah, I can't speak exactly to how the company would handle that. I would like to hope they would alert you that this data has been breached. I do know that where the data is being stored specifically on the AWS government cloud and being encrypted and CGIS compliant, Our data is at the very lowest end of the sensitive information that's stored there. But I don't know how we would handle it. I would assume that it would be something we would, it's not something that's happened, so I don't want to speak to how it would go down, but I would assume that that would happen.
For the chief, how many roughly situations would you say in the last year with this camera system have helped you guys to do your jobs? Just
I
ballpark.
haven't crunched the numbers, but I mean, like I said, we've had, a couple years ago, we had a shooting down the road here on South Grove. That would helped out. We've had several robberies of marijuana stores in the last 6 months. We've had assaults. I mean, there's a handful. I mean, we can get numbers for you if you want to look it up, but I mean, like I said, Kent County uses this every day.
Well, I'm not going to sway over Kent County, so I can't really do anything about that. But for a $12,000 a year fee, I want to make sure that we're not doing it for one thing a year to put all of our data
But if
stuff
that
out
one thing
there.
is a kidnapping and we find the person, then I would say that's well worth it.
And I will say, and I don't ever want to come up, but I always work with a lot of communities. And unfortunately, a lot of times I speak to communities and they talk to me and it's a nice to have and maybe they're budgeting for it, and then something terrible happens in the community, and then they reach back out, and then that's a reason to implement. And one of those examples I'll use was Van Buren Township, and their former chief actually works as a consultant for us. They had a homicide that happened in their community, and for a long period of time it went unsolved, and that was the reason where they had reached out and they had put these cameras up throughout their community. Then just recently in the fall, they had a very similar situation happen. Luckily, they had cameras up and they were able to close the case. And they said without cameras in place, they would have never been able to solve the case. So not just, that's like, any type of insurance policy, but I do talk to a lot of communities that, unfortunately do have something happen, and then that's the initiator to move forward with something.
And there's no way to prove with a metric what the deterrent is, right?
Yeah.
Which has value too.
Mhm.
I look at kind of like a very inexpensive additional officer. That won't affect our mirror standing.
Not getting benefits either.
And like I said too, with the subscription period, if you decide that it's not the best fit for the community, it always something we just come, we take the cameras down, and then we would part our ways. Doesn't have to be something that would be permanent, but like I said, we've not had an agency so far in the state that has taken cameras down and moved away from us.
How does this work? Do we as the DDA vote yea or nay? And then
Yeah, to approve the expenditure on your end. That'll be your role is the funding for those 3 cameras. That's the role of the DEA.
And then the chamber decides whether they want to do it.
Well, the city council will approve the agreement, and then they'll,
And
the
not the
general
chamber.
fund. The city council would approve all of the agreements with the, with flock safety, since the city council oversees the police department. All the agreements would be done and approved through the city council, but the DDA would be asked to fund the 3 cameras we budgeted.
But the budgets have already been.
Budgets have been approved, but there still has to be formal action on the expenditure.
So what's the actual cost? I mean, is it like 1 year? Is this a 2-year?
Yep, so it's a 2-year agreement, so believe for the DDA, the cost is $10,100 and $3,900 for the general fund for the first year, and then the second year, I believe it's $12,000 total, and I believe it would be $9,000 for the DDA for the second year, and then $3,000 for the general fund.
What about year 3 or 4?
That remains to be seen because it would be a 2-year agreement.
Okay.
Speaking as a business owner, I like the fact that the DDA is on the hook for, because I'm thinking this is going to, generally speaking, be more beneficial to the business community than, although a case like a kidnapping, obviously,
Yeah.
but
And you also have to remember 95% of all commercial properties in the city are in the DDA district.
right. So it's to the benefit of all of us who own businesses, I think.
And I like Gordy's idea about making everybody know we got them.
Mhm.
Oh, I do too. I don't think playing secret is,
No. I'd rather not make a rush than be chasing people around.
Should we put a billboard on I-96?
How long do you guys pay for it?
No cameras, we promise.
Are you looking for a vote today?
No, we'll bring it to the DDA on Thursday. Yeah, we'll bring it to the DDA on Thursday, and then we'll bring it to the council the following Monday.
And if we're not there, we can't vote, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, any other questions? Council comments, Jim?
I'm good.
Cliff?
Ask all my questions.
Leo?
I'm good as well.
Martin?
I'm good.
All right, I'm all set.
Fine? I'm fine.
Good.
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 Yeah.
Oh, hey, Martha.
Hello.
How's it going? I'm sitting back like this. All right, well, I want to thank the DDA for coming, and Chris and Gordy, obviously, and Flock for being here to show us. I think it's going to be an impressive tool. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion in a second to adjourn at 6:41. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks for the pizza.
Question.